What's raging, gamers? Welcome to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show. How you doing, HenricK the Wreck?
You know me, Chris. It's a Wednesday. It's time to rage.
Hey, man, let's get it. There are a lot of things to rage about today, but I got to hold it. I got to keep it together. Oh, boy, my blood is boiling, but, you know, we got to reserve it. We like to kind of gradually kind of start the show, but, we always like to start
what time it is first, Chris, all right?
Exactly. We always like to start off the show with the bang and show you guys a lot of viral content that is circulating all across the World Wide Web. So let's get it. Marvel rival fans are absolutely losing their mind, and honestly, who can blame them over the new April Fool's Day reward in Galactica's Cosmic Adventure event? Because apparently, Venom has decided to put the symbiote into symbiote shaking.
Hey, you know what? I actually got this one last night.
Okay.
You got it. You got it. And I immediately put it on my emote wheel.
But why was it like such a must? Like, why did you have to have that a part of your arsenal in your emote wheel? Like, why? Is it like the new Halo tea bag?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly what it's there for.
It's like, as much as we all want a new character skin to try to achieve, I think this will suffice for a lot of gamers that are playing Marvel Rivals. But let's go ahead and dive right on into the comments, because the first one says, oh, no, don't do it. No, shut your eyes, look away. The phone. The next one we got here is, if I got bodied just to get hit with this, the crash out is going to be galactic.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't
That is exactly what I'm aiming for. If I kill you with Venom and then I pull out that emote, I want you to crash out. That's my goal.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're actually getting the job done right. Marvel Rivals. And I'm going to give out lap dances to any healers that could shoot straight. Hit me up. So you will be rewarded in game after all. But you know what's also insane is the fact that the mystery surrounding Grand Theft Auto 6's release date is causing pure chaos in the gaming industry, and publishers are practically playing hopscotch with their own launch schedules, desperate to avoid getting steamrolled by what will likely be the biggest release of 2025. Meanwhile, Take-Two boss Strauss Zelnick has finally shed some light on why Rockstar is guarding the release date like it's some classified government secret.
One of the biggest questions right now in all gaming, in entertainment generally, is when does Grand Theft Auto 6 come out? Which seems to be a very carefully held secret. Why is it so carefully held as a secret?
The anticipation for that title may be the greatest anticipation I've ever seen for an entertainment property, and I've been around the block a few times, and I've been in every entertainment business there is. And we want to maintain the anticipation and the excitement. And we do have competitors who will describe their release schedule for years in advance, and we found that the better thing to do is to provide marketing materials relatively close to the release window in order to create that excitement on the one hand and balance the excitement with unmet anticipation. And we always get it exactly right, but that's what we're trying to do.
Feeling like they're just going to shadow drop this game. They're not going to tell anyone.
Yeah, maybe that will work. Maybe it won't. We'll see what happens. I mean, there are rumors that the PC gamers, might have to wait 12 to 18 months. It's supposedly going to be dropping to the console. But, hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just seeing what's being speculated online. But, hey, amazing work, though, by the way, from Wall Street Week to be able to get that insight. But let's go ahead and dive into the comments revolving around this viral clip. So the first one we got here is, this game ain't even worth the hype anymore. Oh, wow. So people are actually turning on Rockstar Games. Why is that the case, HenricK? Are you still excited? I am.
When it gets to the point of you're waiting so long and there's so much hype and anticipation around it, eventually it does die down. And maybe that's happening now.
Yeah, well, maybe the Switch 2 took that away from them. Who knows? But bro, I've been waiting since high school. I now have a family of 4. I really don't, but y'all get it. So yeah, this anticipation has been going on for years and years and years. It's like the old, like we always joke about Elden Scrolls 6. It's about time you finally just give us a release date. Stop playing with our hearts. And oh my gosh, please just don't be worth like $100 gazillion. And then last, we got GTA 6 hype dying before GTA 6. Yeah, that's kind of wild. It always amazes me every single day how we come up with these kind of style of price tags when it comes to certain items, especially this is quite insane, gamers. So Twitch streamer XQC just had a Counter-Strike 2 moment so rare even a lottery winners are jealous. And what do I mean by that? With the new Spring Forward update dropping fresh weapon cases, including the Armory Fever case, XQC decided to try his luck. He's very prominent into doing open cases on his stream, and somehow, in a moment that defies all logic and RNG sanity, he pulled what is called a Stat Track Skeleton Sapphire knife, and according to one of the creators on air, it's a 1 in 2.5 million chance, meaning it had better odds of getting struck by lightning while winning the lottery. So take a look at this absurdly lucky pull from XQC.
Yes! Yellow! Yellow! Boom! It's blue! Blue Doppler! Sapphire! Centric!
What? Fucking skeleton! Oh my god!
Boom!
It's Stat Track too.
Oh my god!
That's the Sapphire.
Oh, you got Sapphire?
Stat Track Sapphire.
Did you get the Sapphire? Yeah!
Oh my god. 1 in 250,000.
Dude, you gotta pull down. You gotta pull down. You just pulled the Sapphire.
Brother, 1 in 2.5 million chance to hit that.
What's so crazy about this is if it were anyone else, if it were you and I, Chris, we would be thinking about selling that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's gonna keep it, I'm sure.
You think he does? I know he sometimes, in the past, he's actually, he's got friends in the esports community, obviously around Counter-Strike 2, and I've heard in the past that he's given away some of those weapons
he might do that
to some of those elite athletes. Maybe he might be cherishable this time around. But it's like, why does he always keep winning all these amazing, skins while the rest of us, put in countless dollars into these microtransactions?
Think about it. He's got such a higher sample size with the amount of crates he's buying himself.
Or you don't think it's like this tweet right here? This shit is clearly rigged for marketing purposes. Do you think that Counter-Strike 2 is collaborating with Twitch streamers?
Some tinfoil hat conspiracy right there.
Maybe it might not be too far of a stretch. Who knows? And then you get, bro, just earned my whole life savings with the one click and a loot box inside a game. So, as you were kind of suggesting, the cold, hard, sad reality of, potentially having to pay $80 to $90 for games moving forward, but we'll reserve that for later in the show. And then I really don't get how people spend $1,000+ on weapon skins like it doesn't add any real value to the game. And maybe that's why XQC's put hundreds of thousands, well, I don't know about hundreds of thousands, but lots of dinero, into Counter-Strike 2. So maybe in the end, that's how they're rewarding him back in the end. But hey, you the gamers out there, we can't thank you so much for always joining us live every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because without your support, gamers, this show would not be possible. And hold on to your controllers, because this is my QR code. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
And you see that QR code, that one goes to my YouTube channel. So go give that one a scan, go over there, leave some comments. There's tons of content just waiting to be watched. So what are you waiting for? Go leave me a comment and I'll respond.
That's right. As like HenricK loves to say, bask in the glory, baby. Bask in the glory. A lot of great content.
Bask in the glory of my QR code.
That's right, baby. But we got a jam-packed show. So HenricK, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Oh yeah, make like Ash and let's go, Pikachu.
I like it. Let's get it.
Hey everyone, this is Pause or Repeat. Here we figure out whether a game is really worth your time and money. Today's game is the First Berzerker Khazan. The First Berzerker Khazan is a game by South Korean developer Neepal and published by Nexon. It's received a lot of attention for its visuals and challenging gameplay since its release. But can this Souls-like stand next to other well-known and respected titles? Let's find out by first going over the gameplay. The gameplay of the first Berzerker Khazan is classified as a Souls-like, but actually takes a lot of inspiration from both Dark Souls and Nioh. As you can imagine, the game is unforgiving and difficult. However, the game also highly encourages you to keep bashing your head against the brick wall that may be a boss fight. This is due to how you keep getting experience when fighting bosses, even if you lose against them, and won't have to grab your souls, or in this case lacrima, in the middle of the boss room. Loot also has a heavy focus, encouraging you to go back and fight bosses to farm the gear they drop over and over again as you play the game. With a name like the First Berzerker, combat also has a lot of aggressive style to it. The game heavily rewards an aggressive playstyle, risk versus reward style, with a berserk mechanic as well to further change combat. And there are lots of different abilities that you can invest in to change your approach to combat drastically. With such a focus on gameplay, how is the story in comparison? The story of the first Berzerker Khazan takes place in a war-torn world with supernatural forces alongside rugged, unforgiving landscapes. You play as Khazan, a once loyal soldier of a tribe who is now destined to die. On death's door, a powerful ghost possesses Khazan and attempts to gain control of his body. Will he succumb, or will he fight back and find his own path once again? But now the question still stands. Pause or repeat?
If this is the first Berzerker, I wonder if there'll ever be a second Berzerker.
Yes.
Because they hit it out of the park with this one. This is a great game. I'm just going to say it outright. But what do you think, Chris?
Well, also extremely frustrating too. But, kind of just really to set up the presence of with this game. You ever wonder what happens when you save an empire only to be rewarded with betrayal, exile, and some light tendon snipping? You only know what I'm talking about if you jump right on into the first Berzerker Khazan, a hardcore action RPG set 800 years before the Dungeon Fighter Online. So Khazan was once a hero, but thanks to some jealous backstabbers, and I'm looking at you, the Emperor, he found himself framed for treason and left to rot in the snowy mountains. Luckily, a ghostly entity called Blade Phantom saw his broken body and said to him, "HenricK, hey, well, you seem kind of angry enough to make this kind of work out." So, bound by that supernatural pack, Khazan embarks on a brutal revenge tour, cutting through conspiracies, imperial forces, and anyone dumb enough to stand in his way.
Yes, and all the while, it's Souls-like gameplay. So you get to choose your weapon, you get to go fight a bunch of hard enemies, hard bosses. But the thing about it is, yes, it is going to be a difficult time. It's not an easy game by any means of the imagination.
Yeah.
But the moment that you're really going to be waiting for is the moment when you finally beat that boss that has been crushing you into the ground 15 times in a row. When you finally get that moment, that moment of ecstasy of beating that boss, it feels so amazing, especially when the combat just in general feels great. It has a really crunchy and visceral feel to it. Just all the weapons feel like they have weight behind them. And I mean, I really liked using the greatsword. That's my typical go-to in this kind of game. And greatsword feels great in this game, like actually great, as the name implies.
No, yeah, absolutely, HenricK. And I think what, the storytelling in this game really kind of sets it up for that kind of combat that you are going to receive when you play this kind of style of game, as you've been referencing Nioh and, Dark Souls-like games. You got to really be into that kind of style of genre if you're really going to be invested in this game. If you're not, kind of like someone like myself who, kind of grudges at playing these kind of style of games because I just want to keep my controller intact. I don't really want to test the durability, but I just love Khazan. He was once the Emperor's golden boy, taking down a fearsome dragon and then earning hero status. But as history has taught us, the only thing people love more than a hero is tearing one down. So thanks to a jealous emperor with serious insecurity issues, Khazan goes full barbarian mode. He's slicing, he's smashing, he's skewering his way through enemies with a very smooth combat play with revenge on his mind, and it's opening up the game to test your patience, test your skills, and possibly all things when it comes to your controller.
Yeah, and the story, it really is kind of a standard revenge story when you really break it down and analyze it. But it works here because the whole point of the game is the combat, and you really feel for Khazan because, you know, like you're saying, he was a legendary hero for his whole like country, and they just turned their back on him essentially and said, no, you know what, we're gonna put treason charges on you and everything. And of course, someone in that position would be pissed.
Yeah.
I'd say this guy is about as mad as the Doom Slayer from Doom is. And, you know, when you compare the two, yeah, that shows that this game really does actually have some merit in telling the story of an angry, pissed off person.
Yeah, I think you're nailing it. I mean, I think Souls-like, but with even more anger management issues. I mean, every hit you land drains both the health and stamina from enemies. So you break their will and you get to unleash a really cool, brutal attack that refills your own stamina. But you got to be careful when you play these kind of style of games because the same rules apply to you. What do I mean by that?
Risk
you run out of stamina. Reward. Yeah, right, exactly. You run out of stamina, you're about as useless as a training dummy. Like you're not gonna go anywhere. And Khazan's arsenal is just as intense as his vendetta. I know you were saying you like the great sword. They introduce you really early on in the beginning of the game, the dual wielding, which lets him zip around like an unhinged blender, while the great sword turns him into an unstoppable wrecking ball. But I find, you know, the spears, those are a really, really cool element to the game. They are perfect for picking apart enemies from a distance, and it really helps with, you know, draining their stamina before delivering their final blow at you.
No, yeah, definitely. There's just so many different weapons you can choose from, and they really give you the keys to the kingdom in that.
But didn't you think it kind of sucked a little bit though, Henry? I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, you know, like in Bloodborne games, you get to kind of switch in between, you know, like the weapon arsenals. You know, you can only have one at a time. That was a little annoying. Yeah. Did you find that? I mean, it's not a total knock, but it was just like, man,
it's
really?
It's not the end of the world for me because typically when I play a game that's a Souls-like, I end up finding a weapon I like anyways, and then just basically stick to it the whole time through. I might respec a couple times here and there just to try things out and see if there's something else I like, but I'm not really too worried about having to have the ability to switch between a couple different weapons. I'm going to make it work regardless.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Do you have any takeaways about like how this game sets itself apart from other Souls-likes maybe?
You know, I don't know if it's so much that it sets itself apart from anything. You know, in fact, it really just kind of, you know, adds to that genre of Souls-like games. So I don't think this game is going to fit for everybody. In fact, it's not going to work out for everybody. If you don't like the style of games where you got to revisit a boss maybe 13 or 64 times, and this might not be for you, because this isn't just a quest for survival. It's a path to reclaim everything that was stolen. And I think that's why the story works so well with these kind of style of gameplay, because you think about it, you know, the Emperor and his cronies wanted Khazan erased from history. So why make it easy on you? So now they're about to become part of his legend. And the only question is, are you ready to embrace that rage? And so,
well, I mean, at least, yeah, you do have to go back and do a lot of bosses, but at least they don't make you go through the entire level to go back to a boss. You can go straight there.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, absolutely. But I know I'm kind of curious on how you're vibing with this game, HenricK. What's the verdict?
Oh, this is a definite repeat. Not only because, yeah, you can replay it in a second playthrough, a new game plus mode does exist in this game, and it does have more features than the base playthrough. But aside from even just that, just playing from scratch, I think this is a game that if you really like Souls-likes, this is a game that you're going to want to keep your eyes on and pick up as soon as you can. You're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm with you too as well. I was kind of like hanging on. It was almost like a broken tail, or like a hanging toenail in a sense. I was almost about to say pause, but it is a repeat. Once you like start to gradually, you know, get used to the gameplay after a couple hours in, you really get invested into it. And like I said before, there's 3 different types of, you know, style of weapon kind of combat gameplay, and so that really kind of opens up the doors for replayability, and you're really gonna love this game. The First Berzerker is fantastic. I highly recommend it, and you're hearing it from both of us. Wow, why do we always keep constantly agreeing? Maybe we just know our shit. Maybe we just know what you, the gamers, need in the end. But as you can clearly see from the lower third, we want you, the gamers, to join the conversation. The chat box is open wherever you're tuning in live from YouTube, Meta, or Twitch. Bring the fire, bring the energy, bring the gasoline. We're ready for it. But HenricK the Wreck, are you ready to rock and roll, my friend?
Oh yeah, we got a lot. So let's get started, right?
What's good, listeners? Welcome to Patch Notes, where my co-host HenricK the Wreck and I discuss gaming news, industry talk, and so much more. Let's get it. April 2025 is here, which means a fresh wave of video game releases is upon us. And half of them are former exclusives escaping to new consoles like they're on a prison break. But don't worry, there are some hidden gems in the mix that you definitely don't want to miss. So first up, South of Midnight is a third-person action game set in the Deep South, bringing a mythology to gaming that's about as rare as a gator in a three-piece suit. So you'll be hopping around the bayou, soaking in the thick accents of the livelihood that you see watching a Southern Gothic folklore come to life. So basically, it's like stepping into a ghost story that actually fights back. And so with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse style animation, which you can turn off if you think it's too choppy for your gameplay or just affecting your OLED screen a bit too much. Well, the game leans heavily on, vibes. But don't worry, there's combat and platforming too. You'll be able to zip around. You got casting spells like a magical Persian prince, because why not shake up that Southern hospitality with a little sorcery?
I know you're making a little jab at me with that monitor comment about the game kind of hurting.
Who said that? I didn't name nobody. Hey, man, you're putting words in my mouth, man. I don't know if I appreciate that.
You know what, though, Chris?
What?
I think I'm going to play this game on my OLED monitor, and it's going to look great.
It's going to look fantastic. No, it really looks really cool. I definitely like the different style of animation that they're trying to approach with South of Midnight. I think it looks really cool. I'm really excited to kind of see what the open world space is like, and some of the combat stuff look really gnarly. It feels like they really haven't shown a whole lot, which I love. Yeah. It's like, when you watch cinematic trailers and they show too much.
I was about to say, like, when you go to the movie theaters and they reveal the whole story for you, it's like, okay, now I don't need to go see it.
Yeah, like Captain America: Brave New World. Like, why would they ever show the Red Hulk? Like, I never understood that in the teaser. Like, it only happened for like 5 minutes when you go to see the movie, and you're like, really? You showed the whole freaking thing in the teaser trailer? Oh, it just drives me nuts. But if you're into this kind of style of gameplay, South of Midnight launches on PC and Xbox Series XS, including a day one launch on Game Pass on April 8th. And a game so French it probably sips espresso between battles. That game is called Clair Obscure Expedition 33, which brings the soul of JRPG with a twist. So imagine a PS1 or PS2 era Final Fantasy had stylish with Persona-like elements, okay? So, but they kind of decided to spice things up. It's a turn-based combat, isn't just about picking attacks from a menu. Real-time elements keep you on your toes with quick-time events for extra damage and well-timed dodges and parries to avoid getting clobbered. Set in the Belle Epoque, it stands out by throwing magic and mayhem into an era more known for art and fancy mustaches.
I am counting down the days for this one to come out. Ever since I saw the first trailer for this game, I was hooked. Because it looks exactly like what the old Final Fantasy games would be in 2025. Because they went to a different style with the newer ones, more closer to an action adventure game. But this is still turn-based, and it takes some inspiration from newer games like the QuickTime events. And they said there's some inspiration from Devil May Cry even. So that
I was kind of starting to think about Marvel's Midnight Sun in a sense, and it worked for some people didn't like it. They felt like the grind was a bit much. I feel like this is going to be so story centralized, and that's what I feel like it's such a big win. I love to see new IP come into the mix. I'm constantly sick and tired of seeing, the same recycled shit over and over and over again. So this is very, very promising, very freaking awesome. Can't wait to play it. So Claire Obscure Expedition 33 launches on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series XS, including a day one launch on Game Pass on April 24th. So it might be that time to try to check out that free trial, if you know what I mean. If you haven't done it yet with the Xbox Game Pass. But we got another game here for you. So while Tekken and Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter keep cranking out new entries like they're on a conveyor belt, Fatal Fury has been napping since 1999, but Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is finally waking up, and it's not here to play nice. So this 2D fighter is packing a serious mechanical punch, loaded with just defense, high-low crush, and a rev system, plus 3 types of jumps and feint cancels, because apparently one jump just wasn't enough, HenricK. So hardcore players will feel right at home, but don't worry, you newcomer newbies. There's a simpler control scheme and a single-player RPG mode to ease you in before you start button mashing like a pro.
I know at least a couple of friends of mine who are fighting game fiends, to put it lightly, and they're eating good on the 24th when this game comes out.
Yeah, right. No, this seems really cool. You almost want to buy, the old school arcade, controllers to be able to play this kind of Fatal Fury. I feel like that's like. Box. Yeah, because I don't know. It might be, let me double check. Yep, it's on the PC. I don't know how well this is going to translate, playing on a keyboard. I feel like you got to have some of that kind of old school.
On a keyboard, yeah. You don't play these kinds of games on a keyboard, Chris.
That's what I'm saying. I know. I mean, even a controller, a little bit. Yeah, it's going to work out. Trust me, it's going to be a badass game. But I just love the whole rev system. Those are always kind of really freaking cool. It really seems like a very fast gameplay. I think the only little concern that I have with it is I've never seen a game hype up so many DLC characters before the game drops. I'm so surprised by that. I don't know, because I know Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be in the game. There's a few other, Street Fighter characters that are supposed to be showing up in the mix later on. Maybe that's exciting to a lot of gamers. I don't know. It's the thing that we say all the time. It's like you want us to invest and pay, the X amount of dollars for the game, but then you start seeing, them announce all these additional features where you go, why is that not in the base game? Like, can't you just wait to let us know what's good?
you're wanting me to pay for stuff that's not out yet?
Like, wait, what? Like, I'm a little confused. But that doesn't take away from Fatal Fury coming back after almost, 25 years.
Yeah.
Holy cow, that's insane. So Fatal Fury City of the Wolves launches on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series XS, and PC on April 24th. But man, we got so much more here to discuss on Patch Notes. So HenricK the Wreck, break it down.
Oh yeah, we got a big one because Nintendo just dropped the price for the Switch 2, and let's just say it's not quite what people were hoping for.
Yeah, not at all, dude.
And why is that? Well, the base model will run you $450, while the Mario Kart World Bundle bumps it up to $500.
And that doesn't even look that bad right now. You go, okay, $450, sure, we kind of anticipated that. But what else is there, HenricK?
Well, that's more than the original Switch back in the day by $150.
Yeah.
So put in perspective a little bit by that. And sure, inflation is a thing, but at this rate, we're going to need to start trading in gold coins like we're in the Mushroom Kingdom.
Yeah, right. Yup.
And speaking of Mario Kart World, that's currently listed at $80 on Nintendo's site, with some stores even showing 80 for digital and 90 for physical. So that's a bump up in price as well, huh?
Big time.
Interesting
ridiculous.
choices, Nintendo.
Yeah.
Well, meanwhile, Donkey Kong Bonanza is hanging out at $70, meaning prices might vary by game, which is, well, about as predictable as a blue shell.
Exactly, HenricK. I mean, where in the world did that come from? I hate when a blue shell comes right when I'm about to lead the charge, okay? So what is it?
Well, I don't know, because we'll have to see how the fans react. I know how I'm reacting, but I'm gonna hold off on giving my 2 cents just yet, because we got comments. Plenty of comments.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Let's go and take a look at those.
Let's check it out, because will fans accept these price hikes, or will they finally hit the brakes on their loyalty? So as HenricK the Wreck has called for, let's jump right on into the comments. So the first one that we got here is, it's official. The best deal in gaming is just buying a PC. Xbox is dead and barely a platform anymore. PlayStation 5 Pro is a scam. Nintendo is out of their mind, and Steam is my home. And as you can see from this meme, you cannot live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me. Oh, Thanos. How the hell are we quoting you like you were some biblical god? Right all along this time.
I am inevitable.
Right. But I mean, it really does start to make you question. It's like, this is crazy. I mean, we're already in a world with a lot of live service subscriptions. You know, when you raise the price hike like this, it only makes people want to invest in hardware equipment that can cost you in the thousands upon thousands of thousands of dollars, but at least you have a home of all your games.
You save money on the games, because a lot of games on PC go on sale very frequently.
Very, very frequently. But let's continue with the comments. The next one says, just like how everyone laments Xbox for introducing the trend of making people pay for online, it's only fair to do the same to PlayStation for introducing the trend of making people pay for upgrade paths. Yeah, I'm with it. This is like really shitty practice. It's like, it made me laugh, like they're, hyping up HenricK, Days Gone, the remastered, and give us $10 more as if like, what? Like my controller's going to vibrate a little bit different from the original game?
Actually, another example of how PC is, a little superior in this respect, because when you upgrade your hardware on PC, the game hasn't changed. You don't have to go and buy an upgrade path for the game itself. No, you just crank up the settings. That's it.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Instead of like paying. And then even the PlayStation 5 Pro, it only really works for like a very few games. You know what I mean? So even that investment doesn't even feel cool or legit at all. But then you also get comments like this, and oh man, I know this is a little small, but it says the game itself isn't included on the game key card. Wait, what? So you pay $90 for the physical, and all it really is like what would they call that, HenricK? Like a DRM key, basically.
No, that is exactly what it is. It's a DRM key to make sure, okay, they paid money for it, they can play it.
Wow. And it's so funny too, because we were originally going to talk about the virtual game cards, and then once we heard about this breaking news, we decided to, change the topic very quickly. But just to hear that, you have to connect to a local internet connection. I thought we were sick and tired of live service games. No, they're actually just embracing you and wanting to get the future generation hooked Wi-Fi to the internet to play future games.
Well, they want you to switch over to digital. I mean, that's even clearly to the example of just it being $10 less to buy a digital versus physical. They want you to be buying a digital and not go into a store anymore.
It's just crazy that they think that they can compete with like Xbox Game Pass when we just literally talked about must-play games in April. And we got South of Midnight and Claire Obscure, Expedition 33 coming out day one on the Game Pass, and then they expect all of us to be paying $80 to $90 for Nintendo products, which is child-friendly game. I'm sorry, I'm cutting my kids off. I don't even have kids. Nope, you ain't getting it. Nope, hell no. You're sticking to the streaming services. And then the Nintendo Switch 2 costing $450 before tax and coming with $80 games with physical copies being data empty DRM checks completely changed my mind. I'm buying one. Why would I spend $600 for the Nintendo Switch 2 plus Mario Kart when I can get a Steam Deck and port my 400 plus game library plus emulate? I think that's very fair question.
No, it 100% is. And it's just the value proposition is not there. I mean, granted, this is going to be how it is for a little bit for the Switch 2 before the library really, expands and there's more games to add to the value. But it just doesn't seem like a great deal, even to
but
think
they're
about
already
it.
saying that the Nintendo Switch. They're already saying that the Nintendo Switch cards, not the Switch 2, but the Switch, they don't even fit in the new console. So, like, what's up with all that? And then, we're supposed to be excited that they're bringing GameCube games back and, whoopee, Wind Waker with no real, remastered upgrade. Like,
and there is actually a Wind Waker remaster that came out on the Wii U.
I know, pathetic. It's just like, this drives me nuts. And then those Nintendo Switch 2 game prices. I think I missed my $60 games. Yeah, I know. It's just crazy to me that they feel like they're the ones pushing the industry forward with their shitty ass graphics year after year. I mean, Pokemon is like completely turned into crap with their animation over the years. And then they're going to push that thing to be $90. Yet Helldivers 2 can be super successful being sold for $40. Make it make sense, gamers.
Well,
I really want everybody to join in the chat.
Nintendo's not really ever been for a long time focusing on graphics. I don't want to say actually all the way since the Nintendo 64 era, they haven't been focusing on graphics.
Well, they're holding on to nostalgia.
Their focus has been, not even just nostalgia. It's been more focused on gameplay experiences, more so than graphics.
Oh, you're excited for the mouse feature.
The mouse feature.
On your Joy-Con stick.
Hey, you know what? I do think a mouse is superior than a controller, but this is a little silly.
little silly. But what about, ooh, yeah, this is a legit comment here. Rockstar watching all of us react to Mario Kart being labeled $80 knowing they're about to drop GTA 6 for $100. So who knows, HenricK, if Nintendo is willing to push the price pedal to the metal here, what's next? And if Nintendo gets away with it, the rest of the industry is watching. So if one plumber can hike up the price, what's stopping every other franchise from following suit?
Oh, it's not going to stop them. They're actually going to take this as their green light to go ahead and just price their games out higher than they are now. Yeah. Because what's going to stop them from doing that? Well, the gamers not buying anything, but clearly it's going to work for Nintendo. And I do say that it's going to work for Nintendo because I believe this console is still going to sell pretty well. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of complaints online, but when you look at the numbers of how many people bought the first Switch, it's about 151 million units that were sold. So that means that the Switch was very, very successful. I don't think it's going to be easy to get a Switch 2 at launch, even maybe a couple months after.
It's going to be like the same PS5 debacle.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be one of those consoles that's going to be hard to get because it's going to be in high demand, even though it is going to be complained about online. Just like people complained about the PS5 not having games.
Yeah.
That's another console that online people complain about it, but in real life, offline, people buy it enough to make it go sold out all the time.
Yeah, I think that's fair. You can't take that away from you, as much as that still pisses me off that gamers still do that. I mean, we all grumbled, in fact, when, in the year of 2020, when the PS5 and Xbox Series XS, started, launching large scale games to be $70 after many, many years of $60 being the standard. But just 5 years later, Nintendo is pushing that to $80 or even $90 for some of its titles. I still believe is such a wild jump. I know some people really online are trying to turn this into being something political. Some are blaming the recent Trump administration tariffs as having, an impact on it, even though there's no indication that that's what's happening. I truly believe Nintendo got super excited about all that, year-long rumor about GTA 6 being, priced at $100, and they felt like, hey, well, we got the flagship. People really want to play our games. We still have that exclusive window. If people really love us the way that we anticipate, Nintendo lovers have, sentiment for us, they will have no problem paying that money. I don't know. I just still feel like it's really, really scummy, especially considering the fact that, like, the gamers, HenricK, they're just annoyed that the industry makes you have to pay for access to the internet on a console. Yeah. That's one thing, right? They sell subscription services on top of that. I truly love it, but I know it's a headache for a lot of people. And then they often sell microtransactions inside full price games. So I truly believe this should get everyone nervous about what's to come for the rest of the industry. What do you say, HenricK?
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is, even me, myself, there's games that are going to be coming out on the Switch 2 that I know I'm going to want to play.
Oh,
when I look at this price tag, it's like, I really want to.
Like the Mario Kart feature, they're introducing a roaming mode, like where you can literally drive off track. You can bring your homies online. I know you're super excited to hit the C button and and start your own little Discord chat when you're doing your Mario Party. Oh, get the camera, by the way. If you want to start adding all these features, that the Nintendo Switch is going to bring to you, you're going to be almost paying like $1,000. The camera, the case, the chargers. You want to get the steering wheel, whoop-de-doo. The straps because you have a hard time not, holding on to your Joy-Con stick. I'm looking at you, HenricK. I'm sure you used to drop your Wii controller all the time bowling. I know it's a problem for you. I know. But yeah, no, it's just crazy. And like, obviously Rockstar has to be looking at this and saying, well, if Nintendo could charge $80 to $90 for Mario Kart, well, we're going to be like an open world game that's going to be invested for the next 10 or 15 years. What's stopping us from charging everybody, that's highly anticipating this to be the most biggest game of all times?
Well, you know what? My take on that is yes, Nintendo doesn't really have the pulling power to charge that much for Mario Kart. And, maybe GTA does in comparison. But what would be a great choice that was a very consumer-friendly choice of GTA 6 to do is to release at a lower price. Because then that will say, hey, you know what? We're subsidizing the game maybe, but we know that, with all the drama surrounding pricing of games and people being mad about it going up and up and up, we know that people will appreciate this. We know more people will buy the game as a result, and we'll make our money back in transactions that are made by people playing the game online.
Yeah, I'm loving that you're saying that. I'm hoping that's the case. I think it's going to be a bit of a stretch, but that would be really, really cool. If they sold it at $70 and said it's really heavily an in-game,
I can't say that the studios would be that charitable, but, that would be the best case scenario for the consumer.
But I know HenricK the Wreck is super excited to get a hold of the Nintendo Switch 2. He's got that Joy-Con. He's really excited to use that mouse feature when he's playing Metroid Prime 4. But all I know is it's like, what are they going to do?
I'm looking there for that game.
Like, how are people really going to be playing the Switch 2 at like a desk as if it like you're playing a PC? I have a really hard time believing that. They're going to get one of those like hotel, little tables, and you're going to be sitting up in your bed and you're going to be using your little, Joy-Con mouse. I just don't see that happening. I feel like it's such a gimmick. And even that camera feature is so freaking stupid. Like, come on.
Yeah,
man.
that for sure is really stupid.
But then again, I want to hear from you, the gamers. Are you hyped? Are you excited for the Nintendo Switch 2? Do you feel like the games that they have announced so far, like From Software, is dropping an exclusive game just for the Switch 2? Is that really enough to get you to buy in to Nintendo's future and beyond? Let us know what's good. But man, let's start to switch gears because Ubisoft stock just pulled off a 10% parkour jump after the company announced it's spinning off Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six into a $4.3 billion subsidiary because apparently franchises need their own apartments now, and that means more money. And so meanwhile, Tencent is dropping $1.2 billion for a 25% stake, meaning they'll have to say in these series' future, well, they'll have a say in it, or at least collect royalties while watching the chaos unfold. What does this actually mean for fans is still unclear, but don't be surprised if Assassin's Creed suddenly gets more DLC paywalls or Far Cry introduces a mobile gacha spinoff in the future. So let's see what gamers have to say about the following. So yes, sirree, let's get it. Tencent saw Ubisoft sticking microtransactions onto their single-player games and were very impressed. Doesn't Tencent have dozens of gacha games? Yeah, that's like the thing, you know, maybe if they're focusing on those 3 IPs, HenricK, do you see them translating into the mobile space? I mean, we already kind of saw that with Mirage last year. I see that being a win.
It definitely could do that, but it might alienate their core fan base for those franchises. Then again, I mean, I feel like maybe the Rainbow Six series could get a mobile game that would be like a live service as well. I mean, Call of Duty managed to do it, and you know, they could probably do it on as well for Rainbow Six, and people would maybe enjoy it, you know?
Well, as much as I was clowning Nintendo in the last topic, I mean, they were one of the few people that were actually trying to bring some of their iconic video game IPs onto the mobile games. You know, you could think of like the Mario Run and so forth. And, you know, that was obviously meant to be like a spin-off that was just meant for the mobile games. They're really bringing console and PC games directly to the phone. That could be a game changer. That could be a healthy thing for the industry moving forward. But let's see more comments from gamers from around the world. So they can ratio the likes on Twitter, but they can't ratio investors? Oh, that's funny. Well, they did have a very, very successful launch. Whether you have an issue with some of the contexts that are in, I'm assuming Hurricane is suggesting from Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And then we get comments like this. They've made a subsidiary with their IPs, the Tencent having a 25% stake in it. They retain ownership of the IPs, and Tencent will just get some of the royalties. All in all, not the worst thing for Ubisoft, laughing out loud. Hopefully the leadership is still undergo some serious restructuring. Yevs must go, and that is the Ubisoft owner. Yevs never going to go. They fought hostile takeovers in 2000s because the family will not let go of Ubisoft. And why should they? You know, if they truly feel like it's a win to have, you know, more dollars backing some of their most iconic pieces, let them cook. Let them thrive. Maybe this might be a good thing. Let's not shit on it right away, right, HenricK?
Yeah, we haven't seen what comes out of this just yet.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's here to come. But, oh, man, people don't understand what a subsidiary is. Ubisoft isn't saved. Tencent just loan sharked a gambling addict. Ooh. So, like, the more money you throw in, the more they expect. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a Snow White debacle.
Ooh.
Yeah, we went there. And then,
that would be bad.
Yeah, that would be really, really bad. And then I really don't want to celebrate something like this, as I believe most of the woke shit was a plot by China for this exact purpose. Poison the well and buy the leftovers cheap. Yes, China is making good games, but ultimately is our enemy. Like, wait, hold, pause. Like, we were just talking about Black Myth Wukong. That was like one of the first like real games to be coming from China, like one of the first of many to come. They haven't really put anything down. They have, you know, like what is it? Where do people get in that they're here to poison the well on a French, you know, or a France studio? Like I don't know where that translates, HenricK.
Yeah, they're just trying to grasp at straws, it feels like.
Yeah, it does. I know. They're probably looking at the straw going, does it have one hole or two holes?
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how you're looking at it. And then the last comment we got here is incredible how many people still don't realize what this says about AC Shadow's performance and Ubisoft as a company. And then with the follow-up company, I don't really get what you're talking about. Good
maybe not
or
Assassin's Creed Shadows, but the previous titles like Star Wars Outlaws not doing so well on their own launcher. Things like that, because this is not something that happened in a couple days.
But then again, Tencent didn't invest in Star Wars Outlaw. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're only focused on what they believe are the top dogs with Ubisoft, and those are those 3 IPs. So, HenricK, Ubisoft believes bringing Tencent on board as a minority investor will crystallize the value of their assets, strengthen their balance sheet, and set these franchises up for the long-term success. But will this actually lead to bigger and better games, or just more surprise mechanics in the future?
Well, I have some faith in this actually being fruitful for both parties, both Tencent and Ubisoft. And the reason why is because when you look at the other companies that Tencent has a stake in, you look at other companies like Riot Games. Well, they're doing pretty good, I'd say.
Yeah, really good.
And then you got also Grinding Gear Games, which is, you know, they're the studio
Borderlands?
that makes. No, actually not. That's
Oh,
Gearbox.
shoot. Oh,
I was
gosh,
thinking,
yeah.
Path
Misspoken.
of Exile, actually.
Right, yeah, exactly.
So Path of Exile, yeah, maybe the second game is a little frustrating for people, but it did really well at launch. Into the early access, at least. It's not fully out yet. But, the original game is still doing great. So I have faith that this will be fruitful and there will be some success in the future from this partnership.
Yeah, and I think you make an excellent point about the success that Tencent has brought even within their own company. And just to have that back, and I think is going to be massive. I mean, just think about Assassin's Creed Shadows. The game reached more than 3 million players in a week since launch and had the second highest day one sales in franchise history. And let's not forget about Rainbow Six Siege. They just recently celebrated their 10-year anniversary, and they're evolving into what they're calling R6 Siege X in the near future. They have retained a massive player base, and they're thriving big time when it comes to the esports scenes. And I know Tencent wants to be heavily involved in that new sports endeavor. And then you think of Far Cry, Ubisoft's most recognized and successful series. I mean, Far Cry 6, it is the most recent installment. It came out in 2021. Well, that thing sold over 10 million copies during its first physical year. So with Tencent investment, I think it's going to be a strong push. I mean, I don't think really anybody knows what kind of information that will mean in the future. It's a bit vague, but I see it being as promising. It kind of sounds like you're thinking the same thing as well, HenricK.
Yeah, it is definitely
or
vague.
not. You're like, yeah, maybe not.
We'll keep an eye on this for sure, because there's not any concrete decisions that have been made from one party or the other just yet, and obviously it's going to take a little bit of time for there to be any effects of this deal. It's going to maybe even take a couple years at most before we even see anything come out of it. But I'd say the future's bright. It means that Ubisoft is not going to go away. They're going to have some funding to actually make more games and give another shot at things.
Yeah, and just to keep in mind for you, the gamers out there, Ubisoft is still very much pushing hard on various live service titles, whether you like them or not. They got Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell. Don't forget For Honor, Skull and Bones, Motorfest, which is really creating a lot of hype recently. Think about Just Dance, Riders Republic, Prince of Persia, the game that, HenricK the Wreck loves so much, Star Wars Outlaws. He just loves mentioning it all the time. And then Avatar, Frontiers of Pandora, Rayman, and so much more. So Ubisoft is still cooking, but they're also getting a little bit more dinero coming their way. Do you find this promising? Do you find this, as you the gamer, a little concerned about Ubisoft and this partnership moving forward? We want to hear from you. Let us know what's good.
And we're diving back into the mayhem of Reddit debates. And this time, a gamer has asked the ultimate test of patience.
Yes, they have, HenricK.
And what is that question? Well, what's the most rage-inducing level in gaming history?
Perfect for Rage Quit. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. Fits into our title just so well.
Exactly.
But think about it. What's that one level that made you see red, throw your controller, or consider a new hobby? Bonus points if you rage quit so hard you never went back.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna get some bonus points. I got a good one, but I say we dive right into the comments first, right, HenricK?
Yes.
To see what people are vibing with.
Some people have said.
Yeah, I'm really curious on what people are going to say right now. Oh, okay. I'm sure I've done things that are harder since, but the International A license test in the original Gran Turismo lives rent-free in my head nearly 30 years later, with the follow-up comment that said, I watched my friend rage quit and nearly break his controller, throwing it across the room probably at least 5 times before we all got those A licenses. I never got that license. I did get my Lego driver's license when I went to the to the theme park.
Okay.
But now that this,
put that on your resume.
Oh, absolutely. It's on my LinkedIn profile. Google it.
There you go.
No, but yeah, like this was intense back then. Never had the patience to want to do this. Did you, HenricK?
Oh, no. I do like racing games, but I don't want to torture myself to try to do things like this.
Yeah, no, not at all, right? And then he also, obviously, the tutorial level in Driver. This gets brought up year after year. And then I love this follow-up comment that reads, there was a guy at my dad's work who was known for being able to pass a tutorial. That goddamn hero would borrow the memory cards of his co-workers' kids over the weekend, beat the tutorial, and then give it back on Monday. All these years later, I don't remember his name, but I remember his skill and his kindness. Thank you, soldier. At ease.
That is an unspoken legend.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Maybe he's the second Berserker after all.
There you go.
And then we get comments like this. That Vice City remote helicopter bombing level. And then, also the San Andreas Zero RC mission gave me Vice City PTSD. Honestly, F the helicopter missions.
Why is it always helicopters that are so difficult to control in games like this?
Well, especially on the PS2 era. You know what I mean? Yeah. And sometimes when they were inverted, sometimes it was good. Mm-hmm. A lot of the times it was bad. At least in my case, it was. So, I feel your pain through the comments. And then you also get this. Yes, this is always a classic. The Stampede level from Lion King on the Super Nintendo. Brutally difficult, random one-shots, and frame perfect inputs required. Marketed, by the way, for ages 6 through 8.
Sure, 6 to 8.
Right, and then a follow-up comment that reads, nah, man, the level where you were swinging off the elephants, giraffe, and monkeys, that was the worst level for pinpoint accurate jumps to grab the tails and instant death if you fail. Yeah, I definitely had this game on, I played, actually, I'm thinking more of the Game Boy. I think it was Game Boy Color, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it was the original one. But yeah, all these were difficult. Why, Lion King? Why hurt our hearts like that? We don't want to feel betrayed. We don't want to have a Mufasa moment. Like
it was actually literally to make you rent it more than one weekend.
Yeah, these damn coders. And then you get Ness, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles for our UK friends, the dam level, underwater section. And lead it, take the charge. Yes,
I had many a rage-inducing moment playing this game growing up because yes, it is not easy. You can see the plants and that. Yeah, you can't touch those. You touch those, you die.
And this was also had history behind it as well, where even the developers of this game also had a hard time completing this level. And it just kind of made me think about what we shared a couple weeks back with Joseph Ferris when it came to the secret level with the laser level. The fact that they're continuing this kind of style of trend, I mean, obviously not forcing it within the storyline, but more like an off-put side quest. I still think it's pretty funny, but this was actually the story, and that's
you had to, you know what I mean? To progress.
So that sucks, And then last, that one mission in Jack 2 where the city guard ambush you and you have to escape. If I remember correctly, that mission locked story progression. You couldn't go back to free roam unless you completed it. Oh my gosh, this is reminding me of God of War, the Underworld, from the very first game. Oh my gosh, that stuff used to piss me off all the time, especially if you miss something and you can't go back. But then you get a follow-up comment that says, I literally almost broke my controller doing the rhythm game as a kid. And then that mini game was so frustrating, I literally went and did everything else possible in the story to put off having to go back, having to do it. Yeah, I feel your pain. I'll give you a bonus point after all. But HenricK, what's that one level that pushed you to the brink? The one that was so brutally unfair, so painfully frustrating that you either rage quit or briefly reconsidered your life choices?
Well, I was a little late to the Lara Croft, my fault, Tomb Raider series. The one with tank controls, it was really hard to control. I one day got Chronicles, which I believe is the 4th entry, and I got that on Dreamcast. I could not get past the 2nd level, which I believe might have been the first level. I'm thinking back now. It's the level in Rome, and I always remember getting maybe like halfway through it and then just dying because I get lost and there's some enemies. And eventually I got back to it and actually beat it, but it took me forever. It took me at least half a year to get to that point.
That is so funny that you're bringing up like an old school game, especially when it comes to like
and
opening levels.
what's even funnier about that is it's in Humble Choice this month. The remake or remasters of 1, 2, and 3 Lara Croft. So
Right.
maybe I'll go try those and see how it is.
Oh,
now.
so you want to join a level that still haunts your nightmares? Yeah, sounds like a fantastic idea. Why don't you just go live stream it too, so we can all watch you in misery? I think that's a fantastic idea, Henry. You definitely got a viewer in me. But I'm kind of in the same space as you are. I think a lot of gamers. I don't know if anybody really played this game back in the day on the Nintendo 64. But it was called Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, specifically the opening mission on Hoth. I don't know if anybody remembers this, where you used to relive the Empire Strikes Back and try to trip up those AT-ATs like some kind of intergalactic rodeo clown. Like that was
didn't control
BS.
well.
No, not at all. Like in theory, it sounds awesome. In reality, it's like a one-way ticket to rage. So, the game tells you when to attach the tow cable, but conveniently forgets to, oh yeah, that's right, how to actually wrap it up. There's no tutorial, no mercy, just you, the speeder, and the crushing realization that your ability to tie knots is worse than a first grader's shoelace skills. I hated that game. I laughed so hard when it showed up on my PS Plus Premium. It's like, hey, do you want to play this game? You want to relive the past glory days? No, I do not, because it doesn't matter if your speed, your angle, or sheer luck isn't perfect. You'll lose the cable. You'll start over. You'll start questioning every life choice. Okay, I'm done, Henrik. I can't handle it. It's already pissing me off. I think I'm starting to get red in the face.
I remember playing Rogue Squadron on the GameCube, and that one also, that level for Hoth also really sucked when you had to do that cable tie part. And maybe it's just not designed well for a game.
Well, I guess it turns out, Henrik, that bringing down a multi-ton war machine with a glorified rope is a lot harder when you're not actually a Jedi in the game. Maybe they should have switched up that protagonist in the end, because it really wasn't working out for the Nintendo 64. But is there a game out there that is like so rage-inducing that just pisses you off every single time you just see the artwork of the game? It just brings up really bad vibes. Let us know what's good. But man, it's been such a blast having all you gamers tune in live to Rage Quit Video Game Talk Show, and we can't thank you, the gamers, enough for always joining us live at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, because without your support, gamers, this show would not be possible. So we want to take a moment for anybody that's not following our YouTube channel. This QR code will lead you to your boy, Chris Collins. So go ahead, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a live show.
And bask in the glory of my QR code that goes to my YouTube channel, where you'll find tons of different videos, all different genres. And they're just waiting for you to go watch, leave a comment, and I'll respond. I'm always waiting.
That's right. But man, we love you guys so much. Hope you guys have a great, fantastic week ahead of you, and we will see you soon, fam. Peace.
See ya.